I'd like to open the meeting for May 20, June 5th at 7:35. I guess we've got a list of things to go through.
Can I make an addition to the administrative discussion by adding the second candidate or another candidate for an interview as per requested by the selectmen downstairs just now?
Okay. Minutes, let me get that out of the way. Does anybody get omissions or corrections to the minutes? And I can't vote on them.
I thought they looked great.
I just had tiny edits this time, like.
Which I actually
couple.
couldn't see in what you sent me.
Oh, you couldn't?
So I don't know if they got accepted,
Oh,
or what. And of course I.
yeah, I
put-
sent it as a red line
Yeah,
electronically.
but I don't think it came
There's
through
no
as a red
lines
line.
next to it that,
No.
I can quickly make them with a pen.
Yeah, I think
if
I
you
would.
want. You have an extra pen?
So where do you want to go? Do you want to go to the interview or what? And get that out of the way?
Can do Park and Rec, we can just follow right down through.
Okay.
I was gonna suggest we want to get the 81 Matawanaki out of the way, because I think that's gonna be short and sweet.
Sure.
So Parks
Okay,
and
you want
Recreation doesn't.
Speak to us on Manawanaki?
Yeah, you said I was supposed to bring this in.
Yes, we can,
Yeah, thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, I have a tree I just want to remove. It's right, I live on the lake, so it's right by the lake. It's like this big pine tree. It's kind of messing up the wall. And it looms near my house, so it gets me nervous.
And what's your time frame to do that?
Next couple months, I gotta find someone young that's gonna cut it up in little pieces and carry it out.
Can they access it like with a crane, bucket truck?
No,
So they have to
it's all
climb it?
handwork.
Okay.
You guys know anybody?
The only one I'd recommend is Tree Masters over in Boxborough.
Really? Will they do that hard
They
work
can
like
do
that?
it. They
Yeah,
can do
all of them,
crane.
all those, everybody can climb, so.
I had some guys look at it and they said, "Oh, that looks too hard," and they walked
Well,
away.
So the questions, if it's in an imminent danger, and we just need to make sure that it doesn't fall into the lake. So
Mhm.
we'll just have to take time. And also the root structure needs to stay.
Yeah, we'll just
So-
cut it,
Okay.
yeah. Where's
That
Tree
is a big tree.
Masters? Boxborough?
Yeah, on 111.
And I went out and looked at it a while ago, and it's definitely impacting the wall.
Yep.
So
It's just food for thought. There's other people, but
Yeah.
that,
No, I just anyone licensed. I mean, it's gonna be piece at a time. It's gonna be slow.
It's a big pine.
Yeah.
So we can't recommend anyone, but, you know, there's a lot.
Okay.
So I would make a motion that he is able to remove one tree at 81 Matawanaki with the understanding that it's cut flush and that the roots remain intact and nothing is felled into the lake.
do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You good with your changes, Anna? You good with your changes?
Yep.
For,
Just two small ones, and I made
You're all
them.
set?
In full disclosure, girlfriend wants to get married in my house. Now, this decision, the wedding's still on. Because of this decision. It was gonna be sketchy if I didn't get rid of this tree.
Wow.
So you're all.
do you want to pick this up tomorrow?
Put that pressure on us.
Congratulations. That's a first.
Sean, I'll let you know when the permit's actually ready, and then I can either send it to you and pick it up, but I'll let you know tomorrow.
But there's an appeal period of 10
I'll have
days
this-
on that.
Not with an RDA,
wedding?
actually. But it'll be ready tomorrow.
Okay.
But I'll let you know.
We're going to go down to the administrative discussions. Park and Rec, you have something you want to discuss with us?
Sure.
Yeah.
Come on up,
Yeah,
introduce
we have
yourself,
that. Hello.
take a microphone, it's all yours.
Hi, how are you?
Alicia
Sarah.
Day. Alicia Day.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Alicia Day.
Alicia.
Nice to meet you.
Yes.
I know you, sir.
Yeah, yeah, I
And Tim,
Yeah.
okay,
Yep.
what can we do for you?
All right. All right. So we just wanted to come because, last year, so this is the second year that I've been here, but last year was the first time I actually got to work with Andrew on the open space and recreation. And we just wanted to have more of a formal conversation with CONCOM because I just feel like at this point in time, we haven't had the opportunity to do so yet. So this is more of that meeting, just to have a discussion, say hello, for you also to meet Tim, who is our new assistant director, and just talk about a few things that we had idea-wise, going down through the list. So you want to...
Sure. So the first thing at our last actual standing commissioners meeting, the commissioners brought up that they at some point would like to have a joint session between this commission and the Parks and Rec Commission, with the interest of, hopefully doing that a couple times a year, whatever's agreeable to everyone. And then possibly even appoint someone from each commission who would be a liaison for anything that needs to go back and forth, but for any monthly meetings that any of us might have. Other discussions, to have in this joint meeting would be joint discussions on current space usage and ideas that both commissions have, that, maybe we could put our heads together and come up with some really nice stuff for the town and the community. And then discussions on future space purchases, usage, ideas, where are we going in the future with everything. Gives us the ability to sit down and partner and pool our resources in, grant applications and things like that for the future. Just become a better partnership. One of the things that kind of opened this up was Rick had come to us and had kind of enlightened us about the Shade Tree Commission and some of the work they had done in the past. We're actually in the process of, they're going to plant a new yellow magnolia in Fay Park. So
Yeah.
they're going to replace the one that
Yeah.
got knocked down over by the gazebo. So, with that, being able to work with them and having some more projects for the garden club, one thing that we're going to do for this year is I'm going to reach out to the garden club and invite them to do the beds in front of the bathhouse that are all overgrown and kind of, so just, work on that partnership and,
Along the-
Yeah, Long
in
Lake.
front of the bathhouse.
yeah, just get it, we're
I haven't
just,
even noticed any beds.
Yeah, there's two.
yeah, there's those two beds that look like just
They're
forest.
kind of overgrown. Yes, they're quite overgrown.
And then and I'm going to let Alicia talk more on this, but really have a good discussion and an agreement as far as what does the town of Littleton conservation, recreation, and parks, define active recreation is, because there's sometimes where that can be a little far apart.
Yeah, and that's not something that we want to discuss and go into tonight, because I'm sure you have plenty on your agenda, but that'd be something to discuss at a longer, at a different time. But it's
And
good.
it's something you can always send forth to us by email,
Absolutely.
what your specific question is.
Yeah.
So if you have a certain interpretation, we're happy to have that discussion offline as well.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, we wanted to talk about the active versus passive, definitely. So we also wanted to give you an update on some of the projects that we have. We did get funding to do landscaping at 300 King, and that is to come up with a design that's supposed to be sustainable, to have, I really want to go back to having, plants that are going to be resilient to any droughts, because we've definitely had that concern and issue the last couple of years. We've been very fortunate in the last couple months, but realistically, we want something to be successful and to be able to have a long history of being there. When we did do the update with Castle in the Trees, they did have to take down a few trees, unfortunately, because there was one specifically that was split all the way down the middle. So
So a
we'd
couple
like to
things that we
replace
look forward
Yep.
also is pollinators, so we also
Yep.
know, so when we're thinking of something that ticks all those boxes and to look at the different seasons of that as well.
Okay.
And nativity too.
Yeah,
There's some later on.
absolutely. Yeah, we are trying to stay away from invasives as much as possible.
Right.
Yeah. So that's just kind of an update on the 300 King, where we're at right now, and hopefully we'll be able to work with Kim Ahern. She's done some work in the past at Fay, so we'd like to make sure that she comes in on that as well.
The other project that we're doing is the design for the bathhouse down at Long Lake. So as part of that, we've just been going and making sure that we're talking to all the commissions, letting them know that we had it. We've been to the planning board, and Bill is Bill Cole is our liaison with that. Just going back and forth and helping us with some of the finer points of getting the construction design started. So, you know, a couple things that we're really looking for. We have $30,000, just to let you guys know, and it's strictly for the design of the bathhouse, nothing else. And pretty much we wanted to get in front of all the boards. We need to decide on the fact that we need 5 main things. So it's our equipment storage for all of our boats, sailboats, kayaks, canoes, all the equipment that we have down there. We want to consolidate the building, so this would be moving the life jacket shed and getting rid of that, and getting rid of the snack shack building to get this all into one spot. We need a lifeguard office, a first aid office, men and women's restrooms, and we want to update the outdoor shower stations, other than that one that's just there right now.
Are you looking at 2 stories or 1 story?
So that's the next piece of what we're trying to do. We're not really planning on anything as far as what we want to do right now. Those are our 5 needs. Our next steps are we're going to have an abutters meeting.
And then are there any green initiatives with solar or anything like that?
So we're looking into that as well. Green initiatives from solar, looking at, you know, the cleaner toilets that use
flow,
less low-flow
yeah.
toilets, because right now we have the tight tank over there, obviously, so that
We
would.
can also look at Clevis, the composting. as well.
Yes, absolutely, yep.
Yep. So after we have the abutters meeting in late June, early July, we're going to have a special meeting just for the Long Lake Neighborhood Association. I've been reaching out with Anna and talking to them about trying to, you know, also drum up kind of a partnership and make that lake over there something that, you know, is the centerpiece. And then we're going to do a full public meeting, obviously, before we do anything. After we get all of the input from everybody, we want to then send it to design, based off of the fact that we're not going to design anything without everybody's buy-in to it. Ultimately, our end goal is to create a building that fits into the surrounding community of the lake, so we really want it to look like a house, you know, a Cape style. We want to, you know, figure out, do people want cedar shingles on the side? Do they want to do, you know, siding, things like that? What colors work for you? What levels work for you? Things of that nature. And then, you know, not only that, but we want to build something that's going to serve the community effectively for the next 25 to 30 years. The building that's there now has been standing for 50 years.
Plus.
I think it's
Plus.
longer than that.
Yeah.
1950-something by our best.
It
Yeah.
just magically appeared in 1950s.
I'm sure it's on your radar. You have a lot of boathouses, certainly on the Charles, and there's a lot of great engineers that are right out of, and architects right in Boston.
Yep.
A lot of them work with nonprofits.
And one of the things that we've reached out to is, so the first place that we looked was Neshoba Tech, to see if they could help us not only give them a project, but also to do it at a lesser cost for the community.
Right.
But the other resources that we've reached out to is reached out to the town of Barnstable. They just built new bathhouses. They're going to get us copies of their prints. We were just up in Beverly for the monthly Massachusetts Park Commission meeting. They just built brand new bathhouses that are similar but an updated version of what's currently there, that have space for storage. They actually have 2 buildings similar size of what we have next to each other. And then Kevin from Light and Water had reached out to one of the local builders who just finished building up a bathhouse. He's getting us a copy of those plans as well. So based off of that, we're going to take, you know, those 3 blueprints in our first meetings with everyone and just kind of give them an idea of what a building that fits our scope actually looks like.
And what about that building right behind the rec building?
The sea container?
house-
Container?
No, the house right behind.
That's
It seems
nothing to do with our
vacant,
town.
like, it's for.
The white one? The tall
Yeah.
one? No, that's
No.
actually, so there's a really nice younger couple who lives in there, Fawn. I don't know her husband's name, and they have a little baby and a golden retriever. They're there all the time.
Okay,
So,
I have never seen them. so-
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
I believe they're renting currently from the owners that are there.
Oh, okay, because I
Which
thought it
they're
might have been
relatives.
available.
You have a lot
Right.
on your plate.
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, ultimately, after the design process, we're going to bring that back. And then, you know, as part of the being responsible in, you know, spending the money of the community and building this, the next question we're going to ask everyone is, you know, do we want to put this on the same footprint? Is there other ideas of where the building wants to go? Because obviously, if it's going to stand there for another 20, 30 plus years, we want to make sure that we're doing something that's agreeable to everybody, especially here, that, you know, if we want to plant trees or update the park in the future, we have that ability and not just have a building stuck in our way.
Have you done anything on septic as far as whether it perks or anything in that area?
We've had conversations with Light and Water about potential options, but at this point in time, you know, we have the tight tank as it is. So I think that's part of the design, is to question whether that's possible or not, but we really aren't 100% sure about that. We keep going back to you're on a tight tank, it's there, so.
Is the capacity right for the future, or is it?
For the tight tank, I don't feel as such. So that is something, you know, that we have to look at. I know that Highway does have a larger tight tank sort of set aside if we needed to
So you'll have to
install
look
a
at some
larger one.
environmental parameters, so that should
Absolutely.
really be where you start.
Yeah.
So you can have a great design, but if it's not gonna work within that
I was
area.
thinking that the bathhouse is over on the other side, where it used to be a shack there or something.
The original one, the original shack for Long Lake?
It's been a long
Yeah,
time.
there was a
Yes, there was
concession
something was
over there.
Yeah.
on the right rather than the left.
So you may wanna
Correct, yeah.
really look at the ground before you look at the structure,
Okay.
so.
Yep.
And any guidance that you have for us, I mean,
Would be our
we're glad to
encouragement to
help.
do that
Okay,
first, yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, we've gotta scoot along, but,
Okay.
So just, you know, as part of something I'm gonna email you guys, I don't know if anybody saw this article, but part of the reason, you know, we were really wanting to come and work with you guys is kind of exactly what San Francisco did this week. So San Francisco, even though it's a large metropolitan area, they became the
You have
first, they became the first city, town of any size in the entire North American continent to have a park within a half a mile of every single resident. So for a town such as Littleton, you know, that's something that's completely and absolutely achievable. And, you know, it was through the work of partnering with the Parks and Rec Department, the Land Trust, and the Conservation Committee that they were actually able to do that. So we really want to, you know, work together with you guys.
cool, we appreciate you coming in.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Exciting.
I think you should look at how Acton has done their park areas and systems. They seem to be on that same kind of course.
Okay, yeah. Is there any specific one?
I don't know, but it just in kind of looking at holistic view, you can tell that that's how they've tried to accomplish things. They
Right.
put little town centers in, and they put parks accessible by sidewalks to each one.
Yeah, when they,
Thing.
I live in Acton, when they ranked the open space, you know, a potential pocket part would get as much of the ranking as, you know, 100 acres, so it was, they were looking both directions.
Okay, awesome.
Actually, you're not too far off, period, if you stop and think about all the conservation land that's in the town of Littleton.
Well, there you go.
I mean, there's a huge
If you wanted
amount.
to use that as a starting point, Jim, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, we've got
Thank
to
you.
move along.
Thank you
Okay,
very
no
much,
worries.
guys.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming in.
Coming.
We'll do O'Donoghue and then we'll do the interview
O'Donoghue,
next.
somebody was,
Holly,
Holly?
come on,
Hi, I'm Holly.
introduce yourself.
Yeah, Holly. Patrick O'Donoghue. We've met Holly.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you guys again.
Take care. Have a seat.
All right, thank you.
What brings you here?
Okay, so so my husband and I, we live at 34 Beach Drive, and we just came because we have a little bit of a concern with what's been proposed. So I'd just like your consideration in protecting a parcel of conservation land that leads into Long Lake that so many have worked so hard to preserve. It's been proposed by Park and Recs to put a parking lot and a snack shack in this natural water filtration system along beach and lake shore. So much restoration has been done to preserve Long Lake that we're concerned this will only create more unhealthy runoff oils, phosphorus, and other contaminants being so close in proximity to the lake. If there's a grant, the preservation of Long Lake should continue, not be destroyed by such an unnecessary endeavor. Long Lake is as close to Walden Pond in the natural setting we have seen. Let's protect it. I just wanted to add as well that the Littleton Board of Selectmen formed the Clean Lakes Committee to coordinate improvement of Littleton lakes and ponds. In 2007, Long Lake, Town Road, and the parking lot at Town Road Beach were paved and the filtera system, attenuation system was cleaned. This substantially reduces the runoff debris into the lake, and storm drainage from Town Road was redirected into the wooden bank which I mentioned, and it's been proven that all the runoff to the shore is now no longer contaminated.
Right.
So destroying this parcel of land will destroy what everybody worked so hard to achieve. And I don't know if you can enlighten a little bit about that, Tim, but that's what you said to me directly.
So as far as, what was you said it's been proposed, so we haven't proposed anything, just to, make the record official. Like we said, the only thing that we're designing is the bathhouse. And, we're open for whatever the town of Littleton, whatever the community wants to, do to the area. But for all intents and purposes, we have no proposals, we have no plans for doing anything with the park right now, just the bathhouse design.
So what happens with the process is that the town, just like a homeowner, is treated equally. So they have to go through all the steps in order to preserve wetlands and any type of resources.
Okay.
So they don't get a pass by any means. So we would treat them as diligently as we would anyone else. So certainly Savas was very instrumental
Yes.
in a lot of creating those gardens and infiltration, everything
Yes.
there. So we're not gonna go backwards.
Okay.
So I can
That's
assure you
encouraging.
that that's not our intention by any means. So we would look at it very stringently to make sure that we're only making it better, that it
Okay.
would never be to the detriment of the lake or to the wetlands there.
Okay.
So this is the first that we've heard of it. So typically what we would do is that once something is presented to us,
Okay.
we also encourage informal discussions, just like today, that we would go out and kind of give the historic value of where we were decades ago, where we were in '07, and kind of go forward from
Yes.
there. But we have no intention of going backwards.
I like,
So,
thank you.
and we certainly appreciate you coming in and bringing that to attention. And it's nice that you know the history as well, so you can.
And I want to say, I appreciate your enthusiasm. I think you're
Yeah.
bringing some great ideas,
Thank you.
but just please respect the residents of Long Lake as well, because we love the natural setting.
Absolutely.
It's very hard to come by. So together, I think we can work well.
Absolutely, and that's our goal, and that's why,
Yeah.
we've reached out to Conservation and Long Lake Neighborhood Association and, sharing emails and information and everything else, because that's 100% all that Alicia and I want, Alicia's background is in adventure recreation, my background is in scouting and, being in,
And yeah,
land and
Kelly's
stuff.
just graduated
And we
Yale.
just met the
Yeah.
other day on the beach, and if she wasn't moving, I was gonna say she'd be perfect
Yeah.
to come join us.
Absolutely.
Always have input from afar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's also nice is to kind of go back through old data as well, so you can see what it was like before and
Yes.
where we are now. So it's always nice to kind of have that historic data.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add again, I met Holly, I've been an employee for the town I'm going to my 11th year now. I met Holly in town, we got married down at the beach in
Yeah,
town.
we
One of the
actually got
first-
married
one of
on
the
the
first
lake.
weddings ever
It was
on the
beautiful.
beach. And
Yeah.
I just want to say to you guys, in the 11 years that I've been here, you guys have done the best job, really.
Thank you.
By,
Appreciate it.
by far, as far as programs and for the kids and everything else. And this isn't a personal attack on the recreation department, you know what I mean? We just want you to know that we just care about how things are gonna look and how things are
Yeah.
built up down there, and that's it. And that's,
No,
and
it's
that's
good.
why we're here, and
Yep.
Kelly has something. Okay.
I just had a question. You said you were talking to all the associations. Like, do you put updates in like newsletters or something that could potentially be passed out to residents, just so we're in the loop and know what's going on?
So one of the things I would recommend is we do have a Park and Rec meeting, commissioners meeting every second Tuesday.
Of
So
the
that's
month.
of the month.
Yep.
So that's a good place to do it.
Okay.
As far as from an update standpoint, for the bathhouse in particular, we don't, because we haven't gone anywhere yet. We've just been doing kind of the legwork to get ready and prepared to have the meetings that are coming up. And then, based off of that, obviously, there will be, updates and sessions at that point. In kind of the recreation of the Parks and Rec department, there are a lot of things that, in the, as the old director left and everything, that, we didn't have a newsletter monthly anymore and things. So we're gonna start, working towards that. We've been really staying on top of the website. We've been trying to update Facebook and Instagram and all those kind of things. So anytime there's anything new and exciting and, newsworthy, we definitely try to plastered, all of those
It
places.
sounds like this is gonna be a big enough project that I think enough people will be
Everybody's gonna be
involved, and
involved.
that they'll
Okay.
probably have subcommittees that can
Okay.
help represent with the neighbors. But certainly, when they do have an official filing, all the abutters have to be notified legally as well. Do you have a question?
Just two quick questions. From whom does the grant, the $30,000 grant come? Is it from the state, federal government?
CPC,
Okay,
Which
and
stands for?
the Conservation
Community Preservation.
Community Preservation Commission, thank you.
and that is located, is that?
Here in Littleton.
In Littleton,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
And $30,000 doesn't seem like a lot of money to me.
Right.
So it's just for a design.
Just-
That's the
Oh, okay,
important
that's
part.
literally-
just for the
Yeah.
design work. And then
Right.
what happens once the design is?
We've got to move
Yeah.
along, folks.
Once it's approved, then we go for
Thank you so
everything,
much.
and we
Thank you.
we
Thank you.
go for
Nice to meet you.
contracting and building pricing it out.
And you try to get that through grants?
That's one of our
Our
goals.
town?
Yep.
But, so now this is just 30 for the planning?
Yep.
Absolutely, yep.
So, thank you.
She said she wasn't an application, and she was.
You have another question?
Oh, no, that was
Okay.
it.
Great, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for your time.
Did you guys all sign in?
Yes.
We did. Thank you.
It's Littleton Rec.
Thanks for being flexible.
Sure.
If you can, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about perhaps your background and your
Sure.
interest in being on conservation as well.
Sure. So my name is Julie Rupp. Lived in Littleton for just about 6 years now. I'm an environmental geologist, I guess, by profession. I have a bachelor's in geology, and my master's was in multidisciplinary environmental studies with a focus on watershed hydrology. During the past 10 years of my professional career, I've canoed in sewage to collect samples. I've delineated wetlands. I have the core training for wetlands. There's no certification on the core level. And I've been on this side of the table at other towns' conservation commissions.
That you've worked for or represented?
Represented clients, commercial and industrial
What are some of those
clients.
towns that you've been in front of?
Norwood and Haverhill.
Okay, so large, good.
Yeah, no, big guys, for sure. I
Yep.
the closest I have come to something that would be similar to the scale that Littleton would do, would be helping support an RDA for some folks who wanted to do an art commune out in, it's the ways past Gardner. It was a couple years ago.
Great.
They lost their funding, but.
Yeah, so I think, having lived in Littleton, you certainly know that we have a lot of lakes, a lot of streams, rivers, unknowns. So we certainly are impacted a lot, whether it be drought situations or now with all the rain as well. So, and certainly have had our fair share of development now that we know that a lot of the, pristine lands are already taken. We're working a little bit more with marginal lands and trying to work with developers with that as well. Questions that you have of us. So we would also talk about time commitments. We always do site walks.
Yep.
We can be flexible on those, but certainly during the daylight.
Yep.
In the wintertime, we don't do as many if it's snow covered.
Sure.
But try and work with engineers, whether it's early in the morning or the latter part of the afternoon, sometimes on weekends as well. But we do have that kind of expectations that it's boots on the ground. We tend not to have as much time to do the trail things and the feel-good things. We tend to
sure.
have to be a little bit more reactionary to the
Yep.
Wetlands Protection Act, but.
Right, and honoring the timeline of somebody's permit.
Exactly.
Trust me, I've been there and trying to line everything up. I'm working on a groundwater dewatering permit right now
Okay.
that depends on Chapter 91
Yep.
and a bunch of core permits and so I very much get the timeline. And so I would think as a resident who may or may not have technical representation or technical expertise,
Right.
that would be even more important. So I also work 30 hours a week.
Okay.
I don't work 40 hours a week. I work 30.
Generally, usually in the afternoons, it's usually 4:30 to 5 that we try and meet.
Yeah, we also get the ability to, with the homeowner's permission, that if you need to go out at a different time, or if the engineer needs to go out twice. So we try and go out where there's at least a couple people, but it's not uncommon for commissioners to either go out on their own, Amy would give you plans,
Sure.
or that we'd try and go out again numerous
Yep.
times.
Yeah, I've definitely done a lot of desktop reviews as well, or, incorporating somebody else's plans, or, hey, we need a second opinion, but we don't have the budget for you to go look at it. I'm definitely used to that.
Okay.
And then from a schedule standpoint, I will definitely have enough coverage,
Okay.
you know, to be able to make,
Okay.
you know, a later afternoon schedule work.
Questions, Carl?
We generally meet about every other week, but the holidays kind of screw us up,
Yeah.
because we meet on a Monday night. Carl?
So, I don't, just looking at your resume, do you have any experience in wildlife?
A little bit. I did some raptor surveys and some pygmy rabbit surveys out west. I have a general interest
I like
in
raptors.
wildlife.
Raptors better.
Raptors. Well, there are no pygmy rabbits here. They live under sagebrush.
Yeah.
So do snakes.
Mhm.
But I have a kind of an informal
Yeah.
interest. I know Dustin. We talk about birds a lot.
The reason I mention that is in a lot of cases, the wetlands aren't enough,
Mhm.
and we have to lean on potential wildlife habitat
Mhm.
And corridors.
corridors, because it
Sure.
is in the Massachusetts Act.
Right. So part
So
of
that's an important one to make sure that we're familiar with.
Yeah, so within the Wetlands Protection Act, within the permits that are, a lot of the permits that are associated under NIPDs, you have to do an endangered species and areas of environmental concern. So I've looked at the cooter down in Attleboro for a wastewater permit. I'm familiar with the IPAC mapping. I've done quite a bit of that. The northern long-eared bat, I did like a full, the full review, and before the EPA said, okay, you don't have to consider that anymore for a stormwater permit. So I am familiar with the permitting side, and I have done in association with some larger projects, just doing general searches and surveys
I
for wildlife.
got a question for
Thank
you.
you.
What's your feeling on beaver control?
That's a loaded question.
Yeah, I was just
That's a very
gonna say
loaded
that.
question.
What's your feeling?
Just
I
a laugh.
don't like killing things. That's my feeling. But it's a challenge hydrologically.
Yeah.
With structures that already exist, it's an absolute challenge hydrologically.
Well, you got the railroad running right through the town of Littleton, and they don't want to lose their ballast.
Oh, yeah, the railroads won't let you near anything.
Yeah.
So, we have been, a lot of these meetings have been running late. Recently, we've had a couple of early ones, but in the past year or so, they've been running really late.
Yeah, 10:30.
Too late.
11.
So, what's your latitude for staying for a late meeting?
Staying awake.
Yeah, no, that's, yeah.
Carl.
I have latitude
Keep
for
throwing
late
things at me
meetings.
to keep me awake.
Yeah. No, I have latitude for late meetings. That's
We just have to be
generally not.
transparent with that, yeah.
And the other point I had is, what I've run into a lot in these wetland delineations is if you have a consultant out there, a lot of cases, I've been kind of the point man that rebuts the delineation
Oh, okay.
when you're out there actually
sure.
doing a line.
Mhm.
And how do you feel about taking on a consultant that sees the wetland line one way and you might see it another way?
I think that's okay. It happens all the time.
Do you feel you have the experience to do that if you start getting into soils? And
I guess what he's saying is you have a problem calling a guy out
Right. Girl.
pointedly.
Yeah.
I think it's
Well,
to
that's
be able
just
to
what it is.
assertively defend yourself.
Sure.
So to be able to question our
Yeah, I mean, if the data's there, the data's there. You hydrology, vegetation, soil. Is it there or is it not? I mean, it's.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we're fortunate we have Amy.
I won't wear this out in the field. I just happen to be at work.
Amy trained under one of the best.
Oh, okay.
Actually, the person that developed the whole classification of deep water
Sure.
wetland habitats.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
we're
I
very
do a lot
fortunate
less
we have
delineation now than I used to. I wouldn't say that's one of the primary things I do anymore.
That's fine.
I do mostly permitting
We wouldn't,
now.
we wouldn't expect you to do that,
But
we
I'm
do try and go
absolutely
on logs, and
comfortable.
it's nice to be able to kind of recognize that for sure. Okay. Amy, do you have any questions?
You also mentioned it, I don't know if you know the Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissions, the MACC, and they have a lot of training available.
Yep.
I think Andrew and Anna have just finished their
Oh, nice.
It's
certification.
nice, and the commission pays for you to go there. There's different
Okay.
modules, so
More than I
Yeah.
have.
it's nice.
Oh, well.
I approached my supervisor at one point to do it, and then he stuck me on something else, and that was that.
And just so you know, we, over the last year, we just revised, or just created our regulations in association with our bylaw.
Okay.
And so we've got good backup now. I mean, I would like to see us work on our bylaw now, update it.
Sure.
That's like the next thing that I would scope out.
Oh, I don't want to interrupt you, Anna. So as Sarah had mentioned, we do have a lot of beautiful open space in town. Are you very familiar with the properties that we have as of right now?
I'm decently familiar. I spend most of my time on Oak Hill and Prouty because I always drag my kids with me. So those are basically the two that I spend most of my time on.
Two great properties.
Yeah.
We do have land stewards that do keep track of the properties, which helps that, so
Yeah, the
the
LCTV.
board members
Yeah.
aren't out there trying to
Yep.
track it all down.
Yeah, they do a
They've
great
been
job.
very helpful.
Too,
I-
right? You're involved in some of that.
I don't like to take the credit.
Well, now you have.
Now that I have on TV.
Yeah, I think I pin you down.
I guess we've kind of come to a point of whether we have any recommendations or anything for the selectmen, as I understand it.
How was it left with the Board of Selectmen
That they would like to interview her tonight.
tonight?
So it's, so we would love to have you go downstairs and meet with the selectmen as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Would you put forth a recommendation now?
Somebody's,
Do we wait until?
No, I think they would want a recommendation. I do believe, because they're doing,
Because right now,
I think that was probably why they wanted me to
the two
come up
applicants for the one position
Right.
are Julian and Rob McLaughlin, if you remember him from a while ago.
so if somebody wanted to
Teacher.
make a recommendation, you can put forth one if you'd like.
I'd like to put forth a recommendation, actually for Julie, for the position.
Second?
Got a vote?
Chairman has to call
I'm
for,
waiting,
the
does
chairman has to
Carl,
call for a vote.
I thought you had
No,
seconded.
I seconded, so you have to call for a
Okay.
vote.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So you can go down and do battle with them.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks for your time.
thanks for coming in.
Thanks for the evening.
Take care.
So do we have to tell them that? We have to go down and
Oh,
tell
do you want me to
them
run down?
a recommendation?
With that gauntlet?
Yep.
Maybe officially let them know, or
No.
I'll be right back.
whisper in someone's ear.
Yeah.
We were
Okay,
gonna.
Because Bob is down there.
I think we need to,
Rob?
Oh, Rob.
the standardization of special order conditions, can we pass that up for the time being and go
Yes.
to the Durkey Farm enforcement order? Why don't you guys turn that thing into a well field?
A what?
A well field.
Missed something.
Plenty of water.
No shortage of water.
Yeah, the farm power.
These are the NOI exhibit plans for the record.
I didn't realize Christmas trees needed that much water.
They're not
Maybe
there
they
anymore.
didn't requested, maybe they didn't.
So we're here to discuss the road lots 7, 9, 10,
Sorry, I
13,
went past
14, and 30. So prior to getting started, if we can have a site update, just a verbal update in the last 2 weeks, where we are, what's been done, for the commissioners that have been out on site.
So, what's been done on site? Based on, after the last meeting, we had revised the erosion sedimentation control plan on Spruce Street. That got peer reviewed through Green. Green had a couple minor comments, and we had addressed those accordingly. So as of last Tuesday, I believe, construction began on Spruce Street. Temporary sedimentation basin on lot 22, I believe is installed right now.
So the 3 were installed,
I don't
and Amy went out and looked at them, so I'm just trying to...
Just the northernmost, or is
Yes,
that north?
lot 22 is installed, 26 and 27 are not yet, unless Mike was out there.
There's one roughed in over here.
There is, so this one's partially done over here, and then nothing over there right now.
I was out there today and I saw some fresh excavation probably down in, yeah.
Yep,
You
so-
trenched it out.
The wetland replication area has work is commenced on that. I believe it was Thursday, Amy?
Thursday, yeah.
Thursday. You were on site with our wetland scientist, Dave Kell, as well as obviously Mike, who's doing the work. So these areas are down. And have they been seeded yet?
I think they were seated, yeah.
Okay. And they've been seeded, so I think all that remains is gonna be some erosion control measures, put on the fresh excavation.
Are they done, the larger one didn't look like it was done when I drove by today. It looked like about half of it had gotten the organic loam put down, but the next one was still, seemed a little high to me. I didn't get out and look, I just, because I
What I
still
saw
saw
was
out.
like a fresh cut, like a
Yeah,
trench.
yeah, and the side slopes of the cut probably need some treatment of some sort, they're still pretty raw.
I think Mike's working with David on that.
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's still ongoing, and I would imagine this week, would that be
Yeah.
fair to say?
Mhm.
It would be finished up and stabilized this week.
So if we can just back up one step, I'm losing track of one step here. So when we last left the meeting, we had action steps in order to start to cut the road. Were we not supposed to go ahead and go ahead and cut to build the basins before the road? Because we didn't actually ask for a sequential order of construction.
Correct, so
So can we just, for a point of reference, know where we are now and where we're gonna go in the next 2 weeks?
So I believe topsoil has been stripped off of the majority of the road. This has not been constructed up near the entrance. It's probably 100 feet back, maybe, from the edge of Grimes. This is all still undisturbed. And with this basin being in and this one roughed in, I would imagine that those are going to be finished next before gravel road base is brought in.
Okay. So we just want to be very clear that we do have a construction sequence so that if there's any failure of when we're cutting the road, that we're not impeding any of the basins that are presently working.
Correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we're all clear on
So
that.
we're saying before the gravel sub-base is brought in, that the third basin should be done?
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
Is that-
I just wanna be-
I think
would-
that's the game, but I think
Yeah.
that's what's...
But we don't want, we need to be concise of what the point of sequence is for, because we've allowed you to cut the road, but there are parameters that have to be met in order to ensure that we're not doing anything that would negatively impact what's already been designed and working.
Yeah, because right now, the road where the topsoil's been stripped is kind of isolated. I mean, it's a depression, so the water's not getting anywhere, but I don't think you can get to the top basin right now.
So this section is...
No, lot 22.
Lot 22 is down here.
Yeah, that one up there. I don't think the water can get to it
Right, until...
right now, so those side drain swales need to be put in.
Right, and grade brought up to allow the water.
Well,
to go
it's a
into the
combination of things. What we did here is we stripped, this is at 68 feet wide for a 50-foot right-of-way, so that we had some containment. We obviously left it down on the edges. We're gonna come back in and put our sub-base in at 50 feet, which is gonna leave us a 14-foot swath
Okay,
on
yeah.
either side, which is gonna provide containment. The basins are for overflow containment as well. It's all part of the BMP, but we'd like to keep it right where the road is. The subgrade in the road is phenomenal. It's very receptive to the water that we've been getting. We rolled it prior to the storm to prevent it from and that held, and then where we have low spots in the rough, that held and infiltrated very well. So we're comfortable with what we have there, but we did want to use these as BMPs to protect here and to protect if we had a situation where, as we start to road gravel and we have these corridors running down the side, but then we get into a situation where we may need additional runoff, we can direct through some trenching to these other ponds. But I don't know that that's our primary focus, is to get it all to the pond.
Going into what other ponds?
These
The
temps.
ones that temporary.
Yeah, the temps,
basins,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a multi-step process, but right now, the more we can keep in the roadway, the better off we're going to be. And
Yeah,
that's-
the only concern I have is up at the top facing, the slope facing the farm pond. I'm sorry, I'm going, okay, at the bottom.
Yeah, that was right in here. I know where you are.
Yeah, because that grade has kind of been finished off. It's sloping towards the farm pond, which God help us, I mean, there's a wide swath of grass, and there's the other.
Well, we
ones.
left that particularly low where it channels down there to receive the water there, and that did infiltrate through this current storm. So we're comfortable with where we are there, but we're also going to, and you're right, it does all focus that way, but we probably have a 3 feet of freeboard
Okay.
here. And then we're going to start to channel some of that down here so it can get into this area as well.
And is that other one
We're cognizant of it.
repaired? Is the other, and maybe you've already said this and I missed it, the other basin?
Down
has it
here.
been- No, the other side. This side. No, the other side. No, the other one. Isn't it right?
Basin 3, you mean, the existing?
Oh, infiltration basin,
Has this been excavated? So is this functioning? So at least we have two.
That hasn't been approved yet.
yeah, so we haven't actually gotten into, the
we
reconstruction
approved
of
that last
infiltration basin 3.
No, we
what we
haven't. There's
did was,
still-
yeah, we did some exploratory excavation to figure out what was going on within it. And then we had, issued our recommendations on reconstruction, which is right here.
Okay, so
And that's your
sorry, we're
last
gonna do
filing.
that next.
That's the last bit that has just been sent in?
Correct. So that was issued last week. And just based on the conversations that we've had, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it was the intent to have these peer reviewed by Green.
Right.
So this is the proposed reconstruction
So
plan
have they
for
been sent
infiltration
this?
basin 3.
They asked me, and I said, let's wait until you guys have at least one look at it, because it's gonna have to go through the planning board, because that's where the contract is with Green, so there's a whole process. So I want at least you guys to get eyes on before it went over to Green, and we understand what the,
I believe we're
We're ready,
fine with that,
yeah.
so
what the contract
whenever,
piece is gonna be.
whenever you.
We
guys
could
want-
modify that as well, whatever, if Green comes back with an estimate. We have a $7,000 or $8,000 check-in with them, so we can.
So one thing that we've been very forthright on is that we really want to get that done. Like, we've been talking about this for a long time now. So however we can help expedite getting Green to look at that, so that hopefully when the rain stops, we can, well, if the rain stops,
If the rain-
we can get that
Thursday.
done.
It's raining.
Thursday, okay.
Yeah, we're ready
So,
for some,
yeah.
yeah, we're ready for some, and to work with them, whether it be workshop or let them just review on their own.
So I will send it over to Maren, and Maren can send it to Green, and we'll get that.
So is it wishful thinking to think by our next meeting in 2 weeks that you will have gone back and forth at least twice with Green so that they can put forth the final recommendation for design of that?
Absolutely.
I would say, why don't you just commit to a time frame from when Green responds to you?
Yeah.
Is it a day, is it 2 days?
It would probably, yeah, within a day, we'll
Okay.
be able to get back to
So
them.
it would be our hope that we could really approve something at the next meeting for that.
Mhm.
Because I think that would ease a lot of tension that's built up on
I
the
agree.
road. You've got have you started the sidewalk with the gas? No. I thought they were like ready to go.
That's what they told us,
Okay,
yeah.
At their whim.
Yeah,
okay, all right.
it's brutal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're still approved to go ahead and get that gas through and the sidewalk through.
Out of curiosity,
Yep.
out of curiosity, you're gonna have city gas go through there rather than the propane?
Yeah. Yeah, we approved, you know, we paid our fees a year ago. They're aware of it.
I spoke to National Grid today. Newco is a subcontractor. They have the package, and he made it sound like there was a holdup with the town about possibly.
When I spoke to Peck Ingris runs their distribution through Jeff Moore, who was the local rep, and the response we had was they were doing work for the municipality when we were next in line. So they're doing something for the town. That's their resource side right now.
Does the gas line come down Foster Street?
It does. That's where we'll pick it up, at Foster and Balsam.
Okay.
It comes underneath the tracks?
No, that's Grimes. I'm sorry. No, it comes from, I don't know which way it comes.
Because the main Fort Devon's trunk line is coming down Taylor Street, an 8-inch line.
Yeah, there's a 12 that cuts through Grimes on that proposed
Yeah.
parking that the MBTA is going to do above it and runs behind our other parcel.
Okay, so, sorry, we didn't mean to get off on the
Yeah.
gas, but, so focus on hopefully getting that done. All right, let's go through,
And one other thing, I just want to check on Basin 3, if you, discussion on whether or not it should continue to be pumped down, though, because it's just filling up. after,
We manage it after each
Every
storm so that we
rainstorm.
have free board for the next storm.
I think we have to
I
because.
agree. We're okay.
If we.
When I was out there
we don't
Thursday,
wanna- we
the
don't
pump was
wanna keep
gone.
We pumped
overtopping.
it Saturday.
I told Mike to bring it
Yeah,
back in.
we pumped it Saturday.
If you can just be diligent that they're recording what we're getting, what we're pumping, so that we know, if at some point we're becoming saturated, we know what we've put forth on that field.
Mhm.
So, that we're building up that historic data. But no, I think you have to, we've had other sites in town that we have to progressively manage ahead of the storms. So, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're aware of the benefit of that.
What's the story with the farm pond? How are you going to address that?
So we've issued a narrative on that as well, of what we think is a probable cause of where the standing water was. That was issued last week as well, along with the plan for 3.
Amy, did we get that narrative?
And essentially, we started to begin to see standing water in winter conditions. There was a sheet of ice there. And then we've looked at all the historical rainfall data.
Just want the date.
We've looked at the historic rainfall data of January, February, March, April, of what we're thinking. We looked at the volume of the standing water. We issued the survey plan last month with respect to the extent of it. So we've defined how much volume that water, the standing water, is, how much historic rainfall happened over the last few months, and the two correspond pretty closely with what we would have expected to see, just from a surface water
Yeah.
runoff.
Can I ask a calendar question? So your data here for your rain starts January 1st, 2017. When was the road officially constructed, not like approved or in terms of when, what was?
Started July 7th, binder was end of October.
Okay. Thank you.
What about Lot 5? I guess that's the one that's dug and
Yeah.
floating.
So we'd like to de-water that.
So the process we talked about was using that as a temporary basin to protect Basin 2. Lot 4, we now have a buffer between that with the lawn on Lot 4. So we'd like to proceed in the construction of Lot 5.
This one here, it's full of water.
Yeah,
So-
five's the one that has the water in it, right?
Yeah, this cellar hole
But you agreed that we were gonna maintain 5 as a water area until we figured all the hydrology out, and that was a few meetings ago. So,
Respectfully, if I may, I think the process was to maintain that until we were able to stabilize 4, so that we would have protection of this through the lawn here on 4, which we
But-
finally do.
if something goes pear-shaped over here, are we not gonna have access to that? Do you ever need to
No, I
put
think
water onto
I
that?
think if we were to dewater this and get our foundation in here, that we'd create a sort of a swaled area in here as protection and kind of work our way up the road.
So what's on 28 right now? Like right here.
I would say we probably have a fill pile here for the roadway, which is our sub-base, and we have a loom pile in here.
Okay.
Probably in
29?
here.
Yeah, I think it's
Probably in
more.
here. But if we were, so I'm down a little, I apologize. You were here and probably here. If we dewater here, then we have a decent depression here.
Where are you thinking of dewatering that?
Well, I think that's the ideal situation.
But you're taking your capacity,
I think we'd have to wait till we manage this.
Yeah, it
I don't
wouldn't-
think-
yeah, it wouldn't
We're
be-
cognizant of only pumping 3-4 hours a day.
okay.
You know, we're aware of
So
that
let the notes be
saturation
clear
period.
that we're not talking about dewatering 5 until we have the basin reconstructed, because we're taking that water and coming across with it.
Well, I think-
We can't take 5s and put it across as well.
Well, I think it would come down to be weather dependent. If we have a week
I think we
of
can
dry weather.
manage it, quite honestly, sir. If
um,
we don't do it all in one day, we don't do back-to-back days, we're
Right.
able to manage that
Right,
field
but we
pretty
all,
well.
then I think you're gonna have to really start to look at impact down gradient of here, because you're putting a lot of water down there. In addition to what environmentally we're getting right now.
Plus, there's another, this lot, maybe 11,
11.
that looks
And
like it
that's-
was dug and then,
That
Huh?
water's just kind of going down into the wetlands.
yeah.
I just don't feel comfortable saying it's okay to dewater 5 while we're presently using this area for dewatering of the basin, unless you can really look at the volume and capacity over here. You know, we never did a bunch of testing over here after we started dewatering to see, I mean, we could wake up one day and we could be at capacity.
Well, I think to your point, why don't we use it to manage this?
Mhm.
And if we get into a dry spell before Green gets back to us, we'll bring Amy out there to make sure she's comfortable that this can take some of this, and we'll manage it that way, rather than just free-for-all and have at it.
I think Amy would do that with another commissioner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to
That's
make
what
sure,
we'll do.
you
I
pump it the
understand.
same way, with
Yep.
the same kind of
I get it.
silt protection.
That seems fair. Yep.
You feel comfortable with that you?
Yeah, it's,
would-
across the road's been holding it very well.
Yeah, but I don't, if we start
But it's-
taking 5, we
at
just
the same
don't,
time.
we don't wanna, that's,
Mm-hmm.
that's our
Understood.
option, we don't
No,
wanna blow that
yeah,
option.
no,
Oh, and we also kind of skipped what should happen up at Farm Pond. That-
So as a part of the narrative as well, we identified a preliminary outline of what we would consider to be, to further forward our due diligence on understanding what's going on, to de-water this, and then be able to get in there, do the restoration that we need to do, clean up the silt, stabilize the side slopes, reestablish the erosion control in that area.
Where are we
While it's
at
dropped down.
in terms of the capacity and the volume that's there now? So I know we looked at how much water was there
Mhm.
about a month ago,
Mhm.
and
It hasn't changed a whole lot. I mean, like, silt
So you
fence
have-
stakes are pretty, still much
well,
flow.
It's come up.
It's come up about 3 inches, I would
Yeah.
say, which
In
is
the
about what
last,
we've
like-
probably gotten with rain,
Okay.
right? So I'd say it's equal to whatever we got
because a
with rain.
concern that we had at one point, and this was probably 2 meetings ago, that you're starting to get a lot of water and head pressure back towards the road now, and a concern is that it's potentially would undercut in that, because the water now is, it's rising, but it's starting to push more towards, you've got your stone walls,
Mhm.
so it's staying, but now it's starting to go a little bit past the stone wall, because it's gone as far as it can
Mhm.
here, so it's now trying to find more areas where the water's gonna go.
I thought you were gonna try to have it get into the wetland on the other side of the
So,
road this way.
as the dewatering, and once we dewater it, we can get in
I
there.
don't like the sound of dewatering though, because
It's gotta be,
not-
it's gotta be dewatered.
But I
Dewatering
mean,
the farm
wouldn't just having a connection from there to the other wetland naturally?
So as a permanent
Level it
fix,
out.
we would look at installing a cross culvert,
But you gotta get the water out before you can get the culvert in.
correct. And that would be at the historic elevation of what was, the field.
I have a bit of an issue with that. If you put that at whatever that historic elevation was, you're gonna end up with a pond entirely, not a pond with a wetland around it.
Right.
So
No,
I think we need to
but that-
consider
but I think
where
the
that
fir- I think
elevation.
the
This is a
first-
discussion that's not going to be settled this evening,
Correct.
because this is gonna take a good deal of engineering, and in terms of another set of eyes as well,
Mhm.
because there is the school of thought that because it has been maintained now as a wetlands, that potentially, the one site rule, that's really a wetlands now, that whole pond. So we need to make sure that we're being diligent and following the Commonwealth's law as well, so.
No, understood. So, and I believe the conversation was also had that piece, that letter was gonna go to Green, and they can
Okay.
evaluate that as
I
well.
missed that letter, so I need to look at that.
Okay.
Sure.
Where are we on dewatering?
But one thing we would like to do is to begin to dewater that, or at least get that,
I-
at least get,
I wouldn't
I don't think
know.
you're gonna get,
we
you're not
can't
gonna
approve
get
that.
anyone to do that.
I think we have to look forward to the whole plan from dewatering to what's next and see.
right, and that's
Instead
what
of
I'm,
Good
that's what I'm
habitat.
trying to describe, is the next step would be to develop that dewatering plan itself.
You can
Plan,
develop
but
a
not-
plan,
I
but you're
wouldn't
not
call
gonna
it a
do.
dewatering plan, because I don't think we're there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we haven't,
We're not there.
Yeah, no.
You don't wanna wait too long. That vegetation there is gonna start getting killed.
Well,
The shrubs, I mean, you gotta get the water out of
The
there.
gentleman in the back would like to speak.
it'll
Gristmill
cover
Road,
the-
Chair of the Planning Board.
It
One of the,
won't.
so we've asked the developer to come in this Thursday for an emergency planning board meeting, because we have great concerns of what's gonna happen to the open space that was given to the town. if it's now gonna be delineated from usable open space to wetlands. Also, you know, we were hoping that we would get a commission member from the conservation to come this Thursday also and speak to us while they're present and just find out what the best plan forward is for all boards, along with the developer. Because we gave a significant amount of increased density for the open space, and now if we're losing open space, then I think a revision's gonna need to occur.
Wait, so you mean the farm pond is reducing the open space?
Well, it's open space, but it wasn't
Unusable.
It was
It's
usable.
waterfront.
I didn't know that you were planning on using that.
No, usable open space means it's open to the residents of
Yeah.
Littleton for
And
use.
it factored into what was allowed in terms of percentages.
We want to
as
split
well.
But a
residents.
pond
Yeah.
wouldn't count as part of that.
Well, it's,
Usable
Not-
area.
it's different, it's a pond versus a wet meadow, so.
Right.
So you could vote on it instead.
I think that space was either pond or wetland anyway, the majority of it. So I don't know that once we do that, there's a substantial change there. There's a perception of
I
change,
think
but
there's a perception that that open space was accessible to people, to habitat, that it wasn't going to be flooded or a wetlands pond.
I believe some of the wildlife corridors were through that area.
Oh,
so.
exactly. Yeah, it continues through. I don't know that the commission is able to speak to the farm pond because it hasn't been part of our discussion because we've been reactionary to other issues on the site. So I think that, I don't know that one commission member could articulate because it's really just starting right now. It's of deep concern for us, but I don't know that we know where to go with it. Because this is the first time that we've even had something submitted to us with that, so.
And if the commission wanted, I could probably go to give them some
A
background.
background on what
Of
you
what's
what you
happening.
guys.
We certainly don't know.
I would support that. If that
It
would
might be
happen.
more like 7:15 though, is that, you know, I'll check with Maren about the,
Yeah, I sent an email to Mon today asking that she make the request
Yeah.
through you to your,
yeah, right, which I had sketched on the agenda, but.
okay.
It seems to me that with all the water that's showing up on this property, there's gonna be more of it that's gonna be classified as wet than was in the past.
Now that we're out of the drought.
It's more a normal, it's wetter than normal, I guess I would say, right this present minute, but it's not an unusual situation to have this much rain that we're dealing with,
Well, it's most likely gonna get worse as the years go
That-
by.
especially after tonight.
Take this as a signal.
Do
of
we
what's
have,
And
to come.
Jim Gruffy has expressed concern about the water level, and he said maybe it was 4, he saw standing water in the sump in the house. So he's got some concern about what's
Where
going on.
was that?
I think it was lot 4,
The one right next to the.
Water in the house?
in the sump.
That's lot
That
7.
doesn't surprise me.
Lot 4 is down here.
4, 5 is the one that has
The cellar hole.
the cellar hole that has water in it now. So, and 4 kind of is sandwiched between water on both sides.
Is
So
there any
it's-
relationship between the pond and the cellar hole with the water?
Elevation
height?
wise? No.
Okay, so that's not
Yeah.
our issue for that, but,
But another question too, is the commission, you know, it might be worth getting a test pit out on the other side of the farm pond and seeing where groundwater is.
Sure. Well, I think that's,
The other
That's-
side? Which other?
Well, the undeveloped side.
Oh, the other.
The other side from where I'm sitting right
Because I was
now.
gonna say, there's not very much shoreline, always.
No, there
right
isn't, yeah.
now. Maybe just, yeah.
this basin roughed in is probably below the level of that water.
which is lot 22.
You can shoot it, we'll bring that information in, but I think that roughing of that is probably below that pond level now.
Really?
Has that been filling?
No, well, no, because we're not tied into it yet, but it wasn't when I was out there this
I
morning.
thought that 22 would have been higher.
I could be wrong, you know, it could be,
Well, it
an
depends what the flow underneath the ground is.
could be an illusion, but
Okay, so we've discussed the road, enforcement orders on 7, 9, 10, 13, 14, 30. Any other updates that you wish to discuss this evening?
So, the last meeting, Lot 9 was released to have the septic system installed, and that was done. I believe it's at final grade and
They put loam on it Saturday. It needs to be raked.
needs to be raked and then seeded.
The wall was installed.
Wall was installed. Lot 10, that's been
What was the height
seeded.
of the wall again?
2 feet
2 feet, okay.
or less.
Lot 10 was seeded front yard
Yeah, 10-year release to be stabilized, too.
to be stabilized.
That's growing.
And,
This one was loamed
14
over
is-
the,
yep, Lot 7, the side
Stabilize the
yard
bank.
was
That's
was
it.
stabilized.
No other work on site,
Okay.
just that bank area that you
So,
released.
of discussion is lot 13 and 14?
13, nothing's being done on that lot.
Okay.
And 14, septic is in, and finished grade established.
Okay.
Grass is growing.
Grass is
We'd love
growing.
that to be released if we could.
Amy, do you want to, when you have a chance to go look at 14?
Well, I think the first issue is the changes that have happened on all the lots.
Correct.
We had changes on all of them?
Yeah, so we issued the updated exhibit plans, and then it was requested for us to color them up, which is what you have before you. And we began to discuss these, I believe, last week. So all of these plans show foundation drains, show footprints and driveways that were developed as a part of the final lot plans based on
So
soil
what's your
testing,
code?
essentially.
Which is which? The lighter code is what was
So-
approved, and the darker code is what's...
Correct, so yellow would have been the September 2016 plans, and orange is current.
Okay, so let's just, I'm assuming we all have the same order on this, so do we want to
Yeah.
just go through, so lot
Sure.
8?
Lot 8, over here.
Lot
And
8.
for what it's worth, I did have a table that shows all the,
Oh,
There's
the
a one sheet.
impervious.
yeah.
An extra one I could look at too. while we're
I'll look on with Sarah.
Sharing.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. So let's just go through. So we're looking at
8.
exhibit for lot 8.
Mm-hmm.
So we are a net change, a negative change of 414. This lot, I think, was one of the first ones that we started the discussion about daylighting. I'm correct? Yes.
On foundation drains. you're talking?
Correct. And is that noted on this plan?
Yep, so 2 foundation drains are located by the erosion control.
Okay. So things that added on here were the deck. However, we note that the footprint of the house is reduced, so we've got a net of 414. Okay, if we follow on the next exhibit, which is lot 9.
This is 10.
Lot 9.
Okay, you're right.
Lot 9 has a plus of 72. And lot 9 is the one that was of discussion of the last hearing.
The driveway
Which,
swap.
which Amy looked at, and we agreed that the plus 72 was acceptable.
It was less than 4%, right?
Yeah, 3.6 something.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's go to the next, lot 10. Lot 10 had a negative withdrawal impact of 414. So we basically, where was the driveway before?
It's generally in the same spot.
Okay.
So the house shifted a little bit to the west, and the footprint got smaller.
Okay, anybody have any comments on lot 10? Okay, and lot 10's pretty much done, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right, lot 11,
This is proposed.
this is proposed because lot 11 right now has,
Nothing going on.
Right.
No excavated around it, back of it.
right,
Right. So some of the site work has been done, but the foundation is not in the ground.
correct me, lot 11, as part of discussion a long time ago, was potentially one of the lots that was going to be taken if we needed to do some type of culvert for the pond or water over.
It's not that it would be taken, it's that work would be done on lot.
We could
A
offer an
drainage-
easement on that for that
drainage
pipe area.
easement.
Okay. Okay. And where would that easement go?
Probably on the western property line.
Sarah, to back it up, that was one we talked about maybe flipping up to K.
Right.
Planning board doesn't want to swap lots.
Well, my concern is that I thought we were really gonna have to look at 11, because that's where, if we're looking at drainage and where it's gonna daylight and how that's gonna go through.
It almost seems like you'd almost end up having another settlement basin there or something just to contain.
Exactly, because
from the
originally
water
you
coming
talked
from the
of
pond.
expanding infiltration basin 4. So,
Talked about putting
We
information
talked
under,
about
underground.
putting it underground.
underground.
yeah, but you'd be expanding.
Putting it under the house, where the house is?
Underground.
Through a
Underground
Caltech system.
chambers, in lieu of having an open infiltration area.
So, and that's where we get into open space as well. 11.
Seems like that could be a loser.
Well, so 11 is a negative of 663, which what was proposed. So we could make the modification and accept it now, but that doesn't allow for, you would then have to come in and make changes. Obviously, that would be a new notice of intent if you're looking at putting a culvert through or something like that. That-
Whatever the ultimate solution is on the standing.
I don't
water
think
right
we're
now.
proposing to work on 11 right now.
Yeah.
I think he's just answering your mail on that request, you know, I don't think we're here to work on 11.
Okay.
We'd need to know what we're doing with the pond
Okay.
first.
So we're looking at 11. So
Maybe a
let's look at
different part of it.
exhibit
Yeah.
No, that's
12. So we look at exhibit 12, it says 0.
That's
That is already
house is
done.
already sold.
Yep, so
Okay.
12 is already done,
Mhm.
and you basically just moved the deck. Correct?
Correct.
Generally speaking.
Yep.
And slate foundation.
Generally,
Slight-
yes.
slight-
And
slight-
slate
He'll
driveway
move the deck.
too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lot 7. What are we looking at 7? 7, I don't even want to talk about.
We're fine with that.
I move that 7 not be part of discussion in this hearing.
Wait, why? What is it?
Lot 7 is the one that's
But the
right in the
house is
pond.
there,
The house is kind
the
of
driveway's
in
not
the
really.
water, in the pond, just because too much going on with the pond. Lot
Oh, okay. Got it, got it.
14,
All right.
14 is up and over, and lot 14 brings a plus 239.
By flipping the driveway, we ended up having more of the driveway within the buffer. And,
Is this the 100-foot line?
yeah, it's the 100-foot
Okay,
line.
all right. I get you. Oh, because of the buffer line.
It is also basically buffer zone, it is isolated from the wetland resource,
Across
By
the
the
road.
The resource may be changing,
the farm pond.
right, which is a resource.
I think she meant isolated by the road.
Yeah.
There's already
There's a road there.
on that, okay,
Yeah, there's a road in front of it.
okay. Right, okay. Is everyone okay with that? Because it is a positive, it's an increase of 239.
Why was that necessary to?
The way the septic system, the testing and the final design, if you see where it was proposed with the gray dashed line, and then where it needed to be constructed, which was the dark dashed line, we don't typically like to put driveways over the top of active septic systems. You have to vent it, and the topography didn't make sense on this specific lot.
So what was the percentage of the proposed driveway change versus the larger deck? So like when you look at, of the 239, was most of it the driveway or proportionally by adding on a bigger deck?
The deck is outside of the buffer.
The 239 is just the area impacted in the
Just-
buffer.
okay.
Just within the
Okay, that
buffer,
one.
So it's
correct.
where that wetland line swerves,
Okay.
if you will.
So this one just in that spot?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
that's
that,
what he
you know?
said, yes.
I didn't know if your calculations took all of it.
No.
Okay. Okay. So that's 14 and 30, I would withhold.
No action.
Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the amendments?
You wanna
But
go back?
we do recognize there's some that we're not discussing, which have been outlined in Amy's minutes, such as 7 and 30.
So it'd be lots, well, some of these we already covered, though.
Yeah,
8, 9,
exactly.
10.
And 12 is done, you said.
Yeah. So basically, you can go through, bless you.
So
So we
5
can't-
lots, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14?
Yep. So
Because 12 was
we're-
already previously.
And we're omitting discussion on 7 and 30.
So basically, it would be approving them as insignificant changes.
Correct.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that 9, so it's 9, 10, 11, 8, 13, and 14
13 or 14.
be approved for
What are we doing? Yeah, you're accepting the,
accepting the amendments as insignificant changes for those parcels.
So 13's in this.
13 is in it, as far as I know.
I think we skipped over because it
Zero
was vacant.
change, there was zero change for
Yeah,
13.
there's no change to that one.
Yep.
And that was prior, I had issued the,
Oh, that's 12, there is no change.
to go.
we've got a motion. We've got a motion. Does anybody want to second it?
I just want to make sure I have the lots right.
Yep.
I thought 12 was the one that had no change.
If we go through
Well,
the,
12 and 13 have no change.
I think I don't have 13 in here.
It's under, after wetland.
so 12 has no change, and 13 has no change.
All right, I just don't have a picture of 13, that's why.
Yep, exactly. There's no page in here, but that's added in the motion.
Okay. 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14.
Yeah, so it's easy if you go by this
Yeah.
versus this.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Yes, I second it.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we will see you back in 2 weeks.
Does that, a point of order, does that release the enforcement order on that, those?
That will, not on the ones that were not discussed.
Correct, 7 and 30.
7 and
Yeah.
7
Yeah,
and 30.
but the others.
But the rest.
So, okay, so that's,
Yep.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
got a note here. I think that's kind of, doesn't mean we really
and your
should.
new member showed up.
Welcome to the board.
Okay, do we have a Chestnut update?
I have a couple things I want to add. Chestnut, he thought he was going to have the wall design, he doesn't have the wall design, so he'll come in next time. With the wall design,
I
they're
would
not doing
make a-
anything else
I would
on
make a
there.
motion that if it carries past another hearing, that those blocks need to start to get moved. Because they're now closer and over on more the wetland side. Because they could become permanent. And they're big. So,
Do I hear a second to your motion?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
so if they could just come into the next meeting and give us some good news that they have a design. They're ready to go.
And I see we have another person in the audience.
Rachel, are you voting on these at this point, or abstaining, or?
She hasn't been out on the sites.
Yeah, so I'm going to put you down for abstaining on all these votes.
All right. Go to 305 Foster.
It's crossed out. Now I don't know what the hell's going on.
They didn't, just because of the way the meetings go, they're waiting to get their Board of Health approval. So they don't have it. Jim thinks they're gonna get it, but they don't have it, so it got bumped to the next one.
What are you in here for?
Well, can we,
She's the one I wanted to add.
can we, hold on one second, the certificate of compliance for distribution?
That's just being carried on.
You want to just take it off?
I know, but then I'll forget about it. You think, yeah, I'm sorry, you gotta refile.
Okay, are we confirmed for June 19th for the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, a point of discussion too. I have scheduled the invasive aquatic plant training for June 14th.
Oh.
In the evening, just 6 o'clock to about 8 o'clock. If anybody's interested in attending, they're welcome to. It's free. DCR does an excellent training, and you get a little book afterwards to throw away.
Oh,
Give me a copy of the book.
I'm gonna have to go.
The Andrew will get 2 copies of the book.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna, so if anybody's interested, email me and I will get you on the list, and then I will be sending you, an update right before, whether it's gonna be at the police station or whether it's gonna be on the lake, because
You wanna
it could
beat
be
the
either
rain,
place
right?
depending on rain.
The lake would be nice.
Today.
It would be like,
Yeah. And let me know if you don't fill the 20 slots and you want to, I might be able to open it up to the Acton people.
okay.
But I would fill it with Littleton people first.
Yeah. Well,
see,
CLC
I do.
apparently swapped its meeting right to that date, after I'd floated it up to Godfrey. So maybe he's having everybody on the CLC come? I don't know.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, so I have to call him tomorrow and ask
Find
him
out.
what happened.
To, I guess, an argument.
And I had 2 things I wanted to add.
The key individual.
Kristen is here to talk about 6 Cottage Way, and then I also wanted to check with you about 25 Porter.
25 Porter.
25 Porter, well, let's get that out
Is
of
that
the
the
way.
apartment bill?
25 Porter is across from 30 Porter, but it was built, what I want to do,
Septic system we looked at?
not recently, not in my timeframe.
Oh, wait,
This
I'm
is all
thinking of-
very old files.
Oh,
But
I'm
all I
thinking
want
of
to do is mill and repave the parking lot. And I was going to say,
See which one that is?
that it's an RDA.
Is that
But
the-
I just want to make sure
The
that that,
Romanow packaging?
it's across the street from that,
Oh,
or
okay.
down and across the street from that.
Okay.
It's next to, is that Split Brook? I can't remember
Beaver
the
Brook.
Conservation Trust land right there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They have
oh,
a
it's
piece.
right there. Oh, okay.
What's the issue?
They just want to
Redo the
mill
parking
and
lot.
redo the parking lot. It is curbed. I said, put up some road controls, probably an RDA, but I just want to make sure you didn't want a notice of intent.
Oh, okay. I know where this is.
Yeah, unless they're gonna change the drainage
So
somehow, but
Porter Road Bridge Street. here.
I checked them with that, they're not going to change the drainage.
I
So,
don't see it.
yeah.
Okay.
I was hoping, I was trying to get them an exemption, but it doesn't fit anything,
It'd be
frankly.
even better if they did a permeable parking lot.
Just want to keep
Yeah, with
the,
stone dust
That's not
under
going to
it.
happen.
Stone dust under it so it
they want
can't
to keep the
leach.
parking lot where it currently
that would
is?
defeat
Exactly what it's just a repaving.
Oh.
It's just a,
You know, like King
construction.
Street out here that smoothed out so they can repave it?
Yeah. I hope it's not gonna be like that for very long.
Well, it's better than it was. Oh, it's a lot.
I mean, with all the rain, have you been up to Point at all or anything?
Was it the Point Thursday?
Okay.
I think it was. Actually, not looking too bad. They've been keeping up on base, well, actually, there's one thing that looks pretty bad. They've been keeping track of Basin 3. The cinema needs to do some more street sweeping.
It's always
I don't know if you
the
remember the boardwalk they were supposed to build? Well, they went out there and they graded it, which they weren't supposed to do, so I told Stephanie we need to have a conversation about that. So
Where is that? The boardwalk?
You know where the Emerson Emergency Care, whatever they call themselves, up in the back where the skating
Oh.
rink was?
Yeah.
It was a boardwalk to go to a building they haven't even thought about yet.
Oh.
So I don't know what the heck they were thinking. when they-
Elevated boardwalk?
Yeah,
Oh.
on helical piers.
Well, did they actually remove the skating area, or what are
No, because that was built on the parking lot.
Oh, so they're,
This has nothing to do with the skate, it's just back up in that area.
no, I know, but I was just wondering about that, whether that's gonna be a permanent aspect of it, or was it?
No,
was it
no.
just a-
No.
Oh, so it's not gonna happen again next year? They're not gonna rebuild it?
What about, Cooper, with all the rain?
Cooper, not too bad. I pointed out a couple areas where basins 3 and 4 are gonna be. They had started carving it out before we got out of the rain last week. And I haven't seen it since it got to dry out and then get wet again. But the water was getting pretty high, and I think you put your foot in the wrong place, you're gonna drain that.
Some serious boots over there.
Yeah, yeah.
Hip waders.
So actually, Matt's coming in
Andrew,
tomorrow.
you should not go.
I know.
So
I'll have to wear the sneaks
how's
and
the
I'll
water-
get them all
how's the-
muddy.
How is the water situation on the road work? Is it?
It's soupy out there.
Yeah.
It's soupy out there. It's under control. Like I said, basin 3 and 4.
It's gonna be a mess.
I'm not sure what's going on back there. That's my biggest concern, which I let them know about last week.
It's gonna be. What about the Fields Island?
What's that?
The Fields
Oh, that
Island.
one.
Oh, I've seen
There's
them-
a lot
they're
of work
doing-
going
yeah,
on
a lot
there.
of work
The
going on.
island. What about the island lot?
They put in the well. They've done the 2 mitigation areas. And actually, there's a report here that I haven't read yet.
I drove by it. There's a
Yeah.
lot going
Oh,
on.
and
Lot going on.
They've got the septic system
Excavators.
staked out, so I think that's where they're gonna go next.
How's the water treating that site?
So far, it's been clear. It's
You
high.
might wanna
It's,
touch base with
it's not
Amy
flooded, but, it's
And when she goes
it's cranking
down
through there.
on the sites to just tag along.
I haven't noticed that it's going to be on the bank that much, though.
Yeah,
At least where the
right
bridge
up there.
is,
Yeah.
what's visible.
Yeah, it's,
I guess the Cooper Farm we need to keep an eye on, I would say.
yes,
With-
yeah. Yeah.
It's all open.
Yeah.
I'm good.
So, but Kristen had a question about what she wants to do out at Cottage Way, which is one of those long lots.
Oh, very
Okay.
skinny.
One of those skinny long
Where is
lots.
Cottage Way?
Well, this probably does you absolutely
Is that
no
up-
good whatsoever.
Which
You
lake?
probably
Long
describe it
Lake?
better than I can.
Is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Long Lake?
Wait.
Fort Pond.
Oh, Fort Pond.
Fort
Oh,
Pond.
okay.
Oh, there you go.
I have an approved septic plan, but because of the shape of the lots, I just did some cutting and pasting. So this is Fort Pond Road, this is Acton and Littleton. My lot is this one here. So my frontage is on Fort Pond Road here in Littleton, and then Fort Pond here. And the area that I am, the septic and everything is in this pink area of the lot, because there is actually the paved common road that comes in. And I also have access way, this is Shagbark, which is the paved road up top. And then Cottage Way, which is paved a little bit, and then it's a stone drive along the water there. And so my next map is just with this pink area up here.
So this
So
is
wait,
not
why
the-
isn't your frontage on the other road, the common road?
When the subdivision was developed in the 70s, the developers initially wanted to use this as town road and subdivide these lots into 2, so frontage would be here, and then there would be another lot here. But the town didn't approve this as a town road, so what they did is they merged these lots together. And if you notice, they're kind of funky shaped
Yeah,
in
that's
terms of,
wild.
because there's actually, on this plan, it actually shows the existing cottages that were on here. My family has been coming to Fort Pond since the 1800s. My great-great-grandfather built one of the very first cottages on this side.
Wow.
And the cottage that's here was built in 1900 by the Boone family. They were from Arlington. And my great-aunt and uncle bought it from them in the 1950s.
What was their family name?
Boone? Yeah.
So the septic system isn't in yet, but it's on the lakeside?
Yep, it's here.
All right.
So I can show you.
How wide are those lots? How wide?
How wide is,
Yeah.
is my lot?
Yeah. I know it varies, but I was just trying to get an
40 feet.
idea for the widest part,
I'm just, the narrowest.
On the narrowest part,
widest and narrowest.
I've got, I think it's 130 feet on the water, and so that's wider than 130 feet from here, because my lot line goes to here. When they did this with the surveying lines, there wasn't any work from the cottage to the pond, so they didn't finish that. But when all this work is gonna get done, I'll probably have to redo and stake all the septic lines, or the boundary lines. So this is Shagbark, and it's like the pink area that I was talking about. This is Fort Pond. And
Cottage Way comes in here, and there's a stone driveway that goes down to the house. And then from Shagbark, there is a road that comes down in through here, which I think was initially established because there's a utility pole here, because the utility lines run from Charter Way across my neighbor's lot underground and run underground here. They connect down to my cottage underground and underground to this utility pole. And from this utility pole, they run above ground and connect all the further lots going this way.
Is that another wetland right there, that's blue?
So this blue right here is that there is an intermediate stream that runs down through here. And when Mark Donho did my septic plan, he did, based on vegetation, the wetland delineation line through here. And in past years, there were test holes done here, but they were not successful. And we put, it's a Coltech septic system in here with the line running to the tanks here with the pump chamber to the cottage here. I don't have a plan in terms of what I want to do with the cottage yet, but I do know that I want to put the septic system in and the well in, and so that's what I'm here to. I want to, I guess, file a notice of determination.
So is your plan to do, upgrade the cottage?
I will need to upgrade the cottage.
But right now, your NOI is, or your proposal is for the septic only.
It's for the septic and, yeah.
And
the
tanks.
And the much less expensive for you to do it all at one filing. You don't have to do the work, but it's gonna be less expensive if you put it all under one filing.
We also like to see the whole thing as one filing.
So just to put that out for you.
As opposed to piecemealing.
Well, the thing is I kind of have to do it in piecemeal because finances.
You don't have to do the, like, you could put the septic system in, but still have the footprint designed for what you want to do with the cottage.
And you can
Right.
amend
So
it.
that way you have your base and you're building upon that. So,
And the permit runs for 3 years,
Well, my permit, it's already been approved and it's
not the conservation.
not the my Board of Health approval is septic,
and that's
expires in
that's
September.
out of the 100-foot buffer?
Okay.
That is,
Or is that in?
it's inside the 100-foot buffer of the intermediate stream, but outside the 50-foot buffer. So it's.
Did they do a notice of intent
What?
earlier? Was a notice of intent ever done on this?
No, and I think the main reason she's coming in is, you know, we discussed whether or not you can do two different applications, you know, this stuff, infrastructure stuff now and the house later, or really prefer to see it all at once. So it's,
Yeah. So,
So you have to have it done by September, you said?
unless I ask for a continuance, so that's, so that's part of it. So, there is going to need to be some vegetation clearing lines, in here, and I'm thoughtful about the timing of when that gets done as well. The other issue is that in order to, get the well truck in, right now the well is proposed here, which is inside the 100-foot buffer of the pond. But depending upon what I do with the cottage, I do have a little bit of leeway to actually pull that out of the 100-foot buffer altogether. But one of my things that I wanted to ask you folks about is in terms of where they need to pump the silt or whatever, that chamber that they dig in the ground. They could probably pull that out of the 100-foot buffer, but the existing grade of where that is right now is a lot steeper than within the 100-foot buffer. So I don't know if it would actually be better to keep it in the 100-foot buffer on a more level ground than it would be to pull it out. And so that's where I'm kind of looking for you guys for recommendations on that.
Usually not a lot.
Did Mark Donahoe actually plot that for you, so it's all been surveyed
And
on?
stamped.
When did the wetland delineation
So probably
occur?
2 years ago when she would have done the septic?
Mike Donahoe, he wasn't in here, he hasn't been in here for over 2 years.
It was 8/11/14.
So we've never approved the wetland? So I would say that we need to approve the wetland line. Because we don't know if that's, we don't
So
know.
Mark never came in to get the conservation portion of it.
But that could be done as part of the filing.
Right.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
yeah, so I think that's
Yep.
kind of,
Yep.
you know, and this was, I think, one of the last plans Mark actually did.
Yep.
And he got sick shortly after, so. So this is his, first page. I have the second page too.
Okay.
There is, yeah, I don't know if you guys have any questions.
Thinking
So,
notice of
just-
intent, or what are we,
Is what?
we're thinking notice of intent, or what are we thinking?
I think so.
I would think so if it's.
Well,
within the
I like
well,
the
if,
idea of
if the house is thrown in, it's definitely notice of intent.
Right.
Well, if the whole septic is within 100.
Well,
But
you
it's
got, the
outside the
trouble is you got the
50-foot
chambers
buffer.
and all that down there.
But it's still,
that
yeah.
too.
Yeah, the tanks
That's
are
not within
outside the
100.
100-foot.
So,
But you have to dig from the 50 to the 100 to do the line, right? So
50
that,
to
that
the
does,
100?
that doesn't exist right now, correct?
What, this
The whole
line?
septic
That,
system.
that line?
Nope,
Yeah, okay.
none
well,
of this exists right
Okay.
now, so.
Yeah, I was tending towards notice of intent, but I wasn't sure how acceptable you'd be to, the house being a separate item.
It would be in your best interest to put a complete package together and pay because you're gonna end up paying the advertising and you're gonna end up paying our fees. And just do it once.
Well,
you're trying to get a
I-
footprint, you're basically trying to get a footprint for a house.
I appreciate
An
that.
estimated footprint.
And you can come back in and possibly modify it.
Trying to save you money.
I understand that, but the other thing is I don't want to, force a decision about what I'm doing with the house, because.
You could always change it, but if you had a concept in your mind of kind of like if you wanted to make changes, you can always come back. If it's a small change, you could ask for amendment. If it's a big change, you'd have to go through it, but.
Or go for a big footprint now, then you just get
Yeah,
smaller.
and you can always make it smaller.
On your butter's house, just see on there.
The only thing that I've thought about doing is doing an addition off the cottage. But in terms of enlarging the footprint beyond, an addition off of here, and that's where the well may have to get moved, because I know I have to be off of 25 feet off
Right.
of.
Yep.
So that's.
But it sounds like you've got a good concept of what you want. I mean,
Yeah.
just maybe just go a little bit bigger. You can always go smaller, and you don't have to come in and do another filing.
So I could, so what you're saying is my concern though is timing. With the notice of determination, the house, I probably will not be able to do anything with this
Doesn't
this
matter.
year.
You've got 3 years, and then you can do a 2-year
Well,
extension.
how long will it take to do a notice of determination versus, a notice of intent?
It's still got the advertising and all that to do.
The timeline?
So when does that expire? September?
Should be.
For the plan for the notice of intent, you can literally just put in a dash line for where the expansion's gonna be. So,
Where the what
where
is it?
your expansion might be.
Okay,
So that's not really a time consideration on your end, and then I would think the notice of intent, or even an RDA, either way, it's gonna be at most a couple months. I mean, at most.
At the most. And for your septic system,
By
you
the
just
time
have
you
to,
get, the
you just have to
filing
pull the
and-
permit and start it.
no, he wants it connected to the building by September.
Connected to the building.
Wait, so, but then you,
Yeah.
Then you gotta go with the notice of intent because
Yeah.
you're,
And
with
anyway,
the building.
because you're
Yeah.
down
I can do a small addition.
at some later date.
No,
I think the thing
So-
is, what the commission is saying, that for you to even do that septic system, you should have come in here 3 years ago, when that was first done, I think is what they're saying for that, because any work within the 100 falls under the jurisdiction, you're in a good spot because you're past the 50.
right, because.
So that would probably be looked favorably with the commission, but,
If that indeed is the wetland line, which we don't know.
right, so basically,
Will a sidewalk be
Yeah.
fine?
Yeah,
to do
we'll
that?
have to do sidewalk.
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
I looked at it today, and the blue markers that are still there.
That's great.
And so, that's one of the things,
Yep.
just in terms of,
Yep.
yeah, these guys are all still here.
Yep.
I don't know how much on my neighbor's properties, but I know on here they're still, and on my property they're still.
Yeah, I'd feel comfortable if Amy had the time and wanted to do
Yeah, 'cause
that.
we met out there last fall, I can't remember when it was now.
Yeah.
But I can't remember if I saw the flags, I'm drawing a total blank on that piece of it, but, yeah.
Because I think it was just more of a kind of a.
Does she have enough time for the postings to get on for the next hearing?
No.
So that's gonna be the July 10th.
Yeah.
You got
Oh,
the-
no, you wouldn't, I don't have that with
So
me.
when would I be able to start tree work?
Until after.
Well, if you're outside the buffer zone.
If
But-
you're outside
but
the
you're not
100,
gonna-
you can do that anytime.
Well, here's the next
But
thing.
that's not necessarily gonna get you anywhere.
In order to get a well truck
Mhm.
down there, or in order to get any equipment to do anything down in here, they can't make this,
Turn.
this is the
Okay.
existing driveway down. Cottage Way is not feasible because of the utility lines, and there's a old-fashioned stone culvert that won't take the weight of any of the
Right, yeah.
vehicles, and it's just
Okay.
not wide enough. So, my thought is to actually, the other thing is to, put in my drive going over my septic, which, Jim Griffey was fine with, and then connect it here in order to be able to get the well truck down here and any other type of equipment that needs to get done, any tree work. And I'm gonna have to get a concrete truck down here at some point along the way. So, in order to do, foundation, that's one of the things that's kind of a little tricky in terms of what you wanna design, because I don't wanna change any of the grade on the front side. So, and the back side is a little bit higher, so that's what's kind of holding me up, is because I wanna do a design
Right.
where I don't have to blast or jackhammer or
Right.
anything, so.
So the brown is the road, obviously, and the changes to the road, but I think if you look based on that design, is where the brown is, you're even within the 50. So you've got.
There's that little bit of corner right there.
Right.
Yeah.
So that, I think the commission would want to certainly
Yeah.
look at that. What, I think what they would do is say, okay, you need to put a stake approximately where that is.
Okay.
So that when they come out and they look at that, they can judge the proximity to the wetlands.
Okay.
And, I mean, if you did move it, you'd have to restore the other side, so, because we haven't.
Well,
This other side?
disturbed.
Yeah. This other side is actually, this road here, I've allowed my neighbors to use that because that's the way that they access their property.
Mhm.
So with me putting this driveway over here, it still allows them to access the waterfront.
What about if you come across, and get a easement so you can use their part that's on their property?
You haven't met my neighbor. He's already threatened to, because right now I'm using this part, he's already threatened me that he's gonna block me from being able to use that. He's told me that he, doesn't want me there. He's gonna, make my life difficult, bring me to court,
Oh,
bury me
jeez.
with fees and court fees and
Great.
Ken McDonald.
That house.
So, I.
Does he have an easement across your property?
No, he has no deeded right.
Wow. That's an immense.
And-
I would close him off then.
So, but the thing is that he's my neighbor, and I've got to live next to him.
Wait, so are
and-
you you're 6, right, and he's right there?
That seems to make
Um,
sense,
that's
doesn't
what-
it?
Yes, and this is his new barn that he just built back
Wow.
here.
Because it's, yeah. Look how immense his house is.
Is that Mr. McDonald's house?
Yeah, very large one on 42.
Oh, wow.
So that's why, for me, to be able to get that all on my property. And it also will be better for both of us, because I can plant, trees back in here, and it gives me more privacy and him privacy, and just overall, it's just
I mean,
better.
you've done a ton of work. I think that it's best to have the commission come out, because
Okay.
you are in the 50, but it would be good, it may be something that, based on the terrain, it may not be a big deal.
Okay.
But those are the type of decisions we can't, photos just don't don't justify, you have to be able to go and walk on the ground to be
Yeah.
able to see if you can get that in there, so.
Okay. Because the other part too is that this, for a truck or a fire truck or anybody to make this turn, that's where this has kind of got to get pulled out a little bit.
Yep.
And then the other piece is, this is a steep grade, and so it doesn't make sense to me to cut into this part, but it was suggested to me, there's like one tree here that if this just got widened a little bit, it would just make it a lot safer for any of the equipment coming down this path and this road. And to me, I would rather do this fix than deal with a concrete truck that rolled down into the wet street, you know? So.
We may have experience with that on this commission.
So that was just one of the
I would
things.
suggest you come back with a full notice of intent and put whatever you want to do on there
Okay.
and get it back and just get it approved, and then you go
Because your
for it.
plan here is, your plans are adequate, so.
Yeah, I mean, and what do you think about, with the house? Just sketch the footprint,
Should
not
I
worry about
just-
the grading
yeah.
now? Because you do want to make sure that the well's in the right place.
Yeah.
As much as anything.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean,
I would put a sketch a house in.
sketch the house in.
I would, absolutely, get it
And the
all.
driveway, whatever you're gonna,
Get it all
whatever
approved.
The
changes.
scale of the house is the smallest impact.
Especially with the well, like,
Yeah.
I think it's important.
Well, and you can also condition it that when she does know the final plans of the house, she needs to come back, but at least there's
At least you have something on
kind of,
paper.
in a sense, grandfathered in a way
Okay.
for the house.
Just in case, because,
Yeah.
All right.
get it while the kitten's good.
And then,
But we'll try and work within the time frame as quick as we can. The
Yeah, would you
notice
want
of
to
the-
set up a site walk tonight, rather than wait until
It's probably.
July 10th? Or are we, July 24th, actually?
So, on a site walk, they'd want you there, and they'd want you to kind of walk through, if you can, make a couple other copies of this to bring it out.
all right.
But specifically, you'd want to show them, the areas of impact.
Okay.
Okay.
So
And so, and
just stake
certainly
this
show
all
them,
out.
so they would walk the wetlands line first,
Okay.
and then you'd go your closest area to work to the wetlands, so that would be that area there.
All right.
What about here?
Yeah, I think the closest point's probably right there, but
Yeah.
any, like
Yeah,
these little things
change.
you'd kind of walk through.
Okay.
Maybe mark the tree that
Yeah.
that would
Yeah,
come
yeah,
down
would
right
that be all
there.
right?
Perfect, yep, just
Okay.
use flag.
I wouldn't worry about the grading. They can do whatever they need to do without much effort today with the equipment they have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not an issue.
Yeah. My brother's an expert in driveways and
Yeah.
roads, and he's been so busy, he hasn't been yet to come down. So this was kind of just my
Yeah.
thought, so he can,
So what happens with a plan is that you can always move it further away,
okay.
and that's just a kind of usually a smaller impact change, as
Seems
long
like
as there's
if
not wetlands on the other side.
Right.
What
So-
is that blue line, what is that line?
This is a concrete wall because we needed, for the fill, it needed to be a certain distance from the property line.
Okay.
And so this is for the
Okay.
breakout. And one of the reasons why we also did this, this could be straight, but we wanted to maintain, when this was initially put in, I was gonna be using this. But to be able to maintain that road. And I think that it's only, 3 feet, 3.5 feet at the highest, so.
So can you guys look at your schedule and see what might work for a site walk?
Let's see.
Because if you can submit by June 27th, you'll be on the July 10th meeting.
Yeah, I think I should be. able
Otherwise,
to-
the filing deadline is Wednesday, so I don't think you'll make Wednesday.
Okay. No, I would have been able to with the notice, the determination, but not, I don't know with the notice of intent, so.
Takes the
It
same-
wouldn't have made much difference.
Okay, so, all right. And then what about the erosion control and sediment control? Do you guys have suggestions?
That can just get sketched, do the site walk first, and then that can just get sketched into the plan.
Okay,
Make some copies of these, because then you can.
as we go, we
Make
can.
changes, you can sketch them in.
Okay. All right. And if I do move the well outside the 100-foot,
That's
that,
bonus.
okay, all right.
Yeah, even if it's steeper, that's,
It's okay, all right,
Yeah.
okay. All right, thank you.
But you'll need to put on there a trenching to the, I believe you'll have to have from the well to the house, you'll have to show trenching.
Yes, the line, and I
Yeah.
didn't do that because I'm not quite sure where it's going.
Well,
Yeah.
you need to put
Yeah, but
that,
that can be a minor change.
yeah, a rough
so-
estimate is, it's gonna be somewhere in the corridor.
That's
Okay,
fine.
all right. Thank goodness.
You guys wanna look at your calendars? Throw out a date and time?
Be an hour probably? How big is that?
What day is it not gonna rain?
An hour? Yeah, that's
That's
probably
plenty of time, plenty of time.
Yeah.
What day works for y'all?
Anna, what's good for you?
I think I can do late Friday or Saturdays.
Saturday's no good for me.
Okay.
Well, it depends what time.
Can you do Friday?
Can I do Friday?
5 or something? 5.
I do Friday. Let me think about Friday. Friday's not good for me. Like late afternoon's not good for me.
Saturday, are you around at all
Saturday.
Saturday morning?
Maybe
We have all next week,
earlier.
too.
What's that?
We have all next week, too.
All next week too?
Good to give her his input.
Yeah, as soon as possible, sure.
Maybe earlier.
Early Friday?
Saturday,
Oh.
not Friday.
Early Saturday morning? Anna loves early mornings.
Oh.
Define early.
Yeah. I did 2:30, so.
Yeah, see, yeah.
Is 8 early?
8?
Eight
It's
thirty.
early for a
Seven.
weekend.
Andrew wasn't.
Hey, I can do 8 if you want to do 8 o'clock.
8:30, how about
8, that's even better. 8:30.
Kidding, I will do whatever time you guys are available.
I won't be there, but these guys will be. So 8 o'clock,
Okay.
8:30 on
8:30, where are you gonna
And
meet? So you
Should
have
we
to-
meet you up at the top of the driveway again?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's right at the end of Shagbark is probably the easiest.
And how do you get there?
Go to
It's,
Acton.
Oh, is that Sarah Indian Way?
No.
Sorry, Indian Way.
Okay.
So it's off of Fort Pond Road,
Yeah.
and then it's Sarah Indian Way. It's a private way. It's through the white metal gates.
There's a gate.
So go to Neshoba.
I've been up there. It's
Yeah.
spooky.
Neshoba
Too many
Hill
no
Road,
trespassing
take a
signs.
right
Spooky.
on Fort Pond, is that
So
right?
we do,
If I'm
Yes.
coming from the apple
Yeah.
orchard,
Yes, you would take a
take a
right.
right on Fort Pond, and then where do I go from there?
And then you take a right onto Sarah Indian
Yeah.
Way.
And
So-
then where do I go from there?
You know
And
where the
then
orchard is in town.
you will bear right onto Shagbark.
Go right on to Shagbark.
Is there a
and
sign
drive
for
all the way-
Shagbark?
There is
Yeah,
actually,
towards
and
Acton.
drive all the way to the
Take
end.
a right on Sarah Indian Way.
So
Or Fort Pond
Shagbark, would
Road,
that
right?
show
Take
up
a right
on
on Fort
GPS?
Pond Road.
It
Yeah.
should.
And then
Yep.
Shagbark
Nagog Hill to
Way?
Fort Pond.
Sure. Oh.
Just, if you put in Shagbark, you should be able to find Shagbark.
Shagbark.
My next door neighbor, Ken McDonald, his address is 42
Oh, Ken, oh,
Shagbark.
Jesus. Okay, Ken. That penny finally dropped. We know Ken. That took me long enough.
42.
Okay, cool.
So 8:30 on Saturday?
8:30
And
on Saturday.
Are you guys all good with dogs?
Sure.
Okay.
As long as they don't bite me.
No, as long as you guys.
I don't know, last time your dog was following me home, so it's just your dog's down there.
Okay, cool, thanks for coming in.
So 42 Shagbark Way is the neighbor?
Shagbark Drive, actually.
Oh, Shagbark Drive.
Because what that will do is that will put you on the top side. Where's that?
But you'll be out there anyways, you'll
Yeah,
see
I'll be
everybody.
out hanging out.
We don't want to go to Mr. McDonald's house by mistake.
Please.
All right, do we have anything else?
So 42 would get us where?
42, this is his property,
All right,
and
make
so
a
he
motion.
has a stone right at the end of the road that says 42
Saturday at
Shagbark.
8:30.
So it would lead us down this
I'd like to
road.
make a motion to adjourn. I love doing that.
It's
Uh-oh.
Okay, yes.
Okay. All right.
I'm driving.
I have a
Do you
second.
want my cell phone number in case you need
Yeah,
directions?
that would be good.
Oh, you can vote on that. You can vote to adjourn.
Say you second that. Did somebody second that?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you so much for taking the time to help me on this.
Welcome.
Thanks for waiting around.